Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent says he expects a Senate vote on the president's massive tax cut and spending plan by Friday, the last day before the July 4th recess. For tonight's interview, we are joined by Marc Goldwein, a senior policy director at the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget, which has analyzed the Senate's tax cut proposal. Marc, the Senate says the Finance Committee, which handles taxes in the Senate, says their proposals will add $441 billion to the deficit. You say it's way more. Why?
So they are using this trick called the current policy baseline, where they basically want to pass $3.8 trillion of tax cuts for free. When you measure this correctly, it's not $400 billion. It's actually $4.2 trillion.
They want to pretend that those tax cuts don't sunset, which, in fact, they are scheduled to do by previous agreement of previous Congresses. Is that essentially it?
That's exactly right. Imagine I get a burger today and I say it's free because I had a burger yesterday. That's essentially what they want to do here. They want to pretend this extension costs nothing.
And who will recognize that they're pulling that gimmick in the world of the larger economy?
Yeah, look, you can lie to the public, you can lie to the scorekeepers, but you can't lie to the bond markets. It doesn't matter what we call the number. Either way, we're going to have to issue that debt. We're going to have to issue an additional $4 trillion of debt to pay for those tax cuts. And someone's going to have to buy that debt.
And are they engaging in that gimmick essentially because if they don't, they have to find spending reductions to make up for the hole caused by the tax cuts?
That's exactly right. I mean, part of the reason they're doing this is they just want to say they're reducing the deficit when they know they're increasing the deficit. But part of the reason they're doing this is because they actually have a cap on how much they're allowed to borrow under reconciliation. And they're not going to meet that cap, not even close. They do have spending cuts in the bill, but they do not cover the tax cuts. And so what's the solution? Lie. Hide $3.8 trillion of tax extensions.
And so, Marc, how does this get, I mean, is this going to go through? How would it stop this budget gimmick?
So their view is that the chairman of the Budget Committee has the right to decide which numbers to use. This is probably going to be hashed out, maybe with the Senate parliamentarian. Ultimately, you can do anything with 50 votes if you want to. So I think at the end of the day, if the parliamentarian says this isn't kosher, they're likely to just overrule her. But that really undermines budget enforcement for anything else we want to do going forward. Get ready for Medicare for all for free and other things like that in the future.
50 votes being the threshold for reconciliation. What are some of the other sticking points that you're most interested in?
There's big fights now over Medicaid, over the SALT cap, over all sorts of stuff. But I'm focused on the overall debt number. The House did some good things by bringing down the borrowing from basically $5 trillion down to $3 trillion. Now the Senate seems to be ratcheting that back up. By the way, $3 trillion is still quite bad, but it's just less bad. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out, because it's really fun to deliver tax cuts. It's really fun to deliver spending. The offsets are hard, and they're politically painful.
And on the Medicaid point, explain what's happening there very briefly, if possible.
Yeah, so there's about $1 trillion worth of Medicaid savings in this bill, some from work requirements, some from stopping state gimmicks. And they have pretty broad support in the Republican Party, but not universal support. So now the Republicans are hashing it out, deciding whether to keep all these cuts, maybe to compensate hospitals for some of the cuts, or to make some modifications.
Marc Goldwein, thanks so much for being with us.